I just cut off and ate a slice of this cranberry orange bread. It's perfectly Christmas with a sweet tart cranberry topped with a sugary orange goodness. This is super simple, it's super delicious, and it's fun to make. Let's do it together. Would it be Christmas without cranberry orange loaf? I don't think so. It's a quick bread. And quick breads really are a cake that we call a bread, and it just feels nice and festive. What I like about this is I don't think it's too sweet, meaning that you can actually get some of the notes of the cranberry coming through. Sometimes with cranberries, we tend to oversweeten them. This bread really, to me, has a good balance of that sweet to tangy. It brings in the orange with orange zest and juice. And so it really is a moist, delicious way to enjoy something festive. And what I like about this, it's great for breakfast. You can even toast it and put a little bit of butter on it. It's also just great for a snack with coffee, with tea. It's also good as a dessert. Imagine this with some ice cream or some creme anglaise. It can be multi-useful all day long. So to start, we're gonna take some butter, room temperature, slightly soft, and we're gonna put that in there. The butter is for flavor. We're also going to mix it with the sugar. Now, the amount of butter isn't going to cream like a normal butter and sugar would if you're making cookies or a cake, but it is gonna work it together and work a little bit of air into the mixture. So we're just gonna start my hand mixer and start mixing it together. So I've been mixing it, and you can see it's not a normal creaming texture, but it does bring together that butter and sugar. And now I'm gonna add in my egg. I cracked it into a bowl just so I could easily add it. Make sure I don't have shell in there. And I'm just gonna work that into this mixture. That yolk is such a beautiful yolk. So this now is gonna be the base of our loaf, of our bread, our cake, whatever you wanna call it. And once I have that all mixed together, I'm gonna add in some orange juice. Now, orange juice has some sweetness to it. And it also, though, has a little bit of acidity and brightness, which is really nice. And it has flavor. So it has like a three-way punch of adding a lot to this bread. So I'm gonna mix that in, and we're gonna add the zest also. It doesn't take long to incorporate the orange juice, but we're already getting the essence of what makes this really seasonal and fun, and it's that citrus. It's gonna be with the cranberry. So I am taking now the zest of the orange, and I am just getting just that outer bright orange zest, leaving that pith. And I just do it upside down, but you can tell because it catches all of it. And then I can just flip it over and pop it right in there. So all that flavor, all those essential oils from the orange, they went right in there, which is wonderful. So now we have a little bit of dry ingredients. We need that. So we have all-purpose flour and some baking powder and baking soda, both of them. They're gonna work together in this. And then a little bit of salt. You know, anything needs a little bit of salt. It actually brings out the flavors, which is really important. It balances everything out. Now we just want to actually mix that together, which doesn't take long. And so I'm just going to begin slowly and just start incorporating it all. Now I don't want to overmix at this point because once you add that flour, if you overmix it, it can get tough. So I just move my hand mixer around, and those last few flour bits, I'll actually just get by hand. So I'm just gonna really quickly, and then if you're using a hand mixer, I always do it at the end just to make sure I get it all off. So now we have our base. This is our bread, and we have cranberries. Now, cranberries on their own, they're kind of big. You don't want that big chunk every time you're biting into bread. So we need to break these down. Now, you could do it by hand. I like to do it in a little food chopper. If you have a different type of food chopper or food processor, whatever you have, that is just fine. I have this little small one that goes with my immersion blender, and I like to use it. It's a little bit less cleanup. So I'm just gonna chop these down into somewhat small pieces. So this is all chopped up. You know, you can kind of do, I like a few, I'm gonna say it what, rough chops? It's nothing perfect, but you can see I have a few pieces that you can still tell what they were, and most of them are broken down, nice and small, which is really what you need here. So I'm gonna grab a spatula, and I'm gonna do a quick turn of this just to give it kind of a final mix, make sure everything was mixing together properly, which is always what you wanna do before you just go ahead and finish it up. And now I wanna add in my cranberries. Now these we fold in because they would just make everything red, and we don't want that. So we're gonna put those right in. And then I have some walnuts right here that I've chopped. I just hand chopped them. I toasted them in the oven. I think that's really important. Anytime you're gonna use a nut that goes inside of something like a cake or a bread, you wanna make sure that you toast them because they're not gonna toast once they're baking inside of that mixture. You want them to toast beforehand so that brings out their flavor better, brings out their nuttiness, which is really important. So I think that makes a huge difference, and the texture is just better too. So I'm folding this all together, which it will pick up some of the color from those cranberries, and that's okay. It makes it all the more festive. You know, I think we see cranberries usually once, mostly a year, around this time of year, and so you try to look for all these different things to make with them, but this is actually a really delicious thing. It's not just using them, it's enjoying them. So we have a loaf pan. I did line it with parchment and greased both before and after I lined it, just because this can be kind of a dense and more moist, shall we say, bread. And so doing that just ensures I'm gonna get it out better. So I'm gonna put it all in there. And now you can do, I know at Christmas growing up, you know, Mom would always sometimes make this and give it as gifts, so you could make it in smaller ones. You would have to adjust the baking time, obviously, but you could easily do that. So I'm gonna spread it out evenly, and you can see it's just pretty quick. I'm gonna make sure I get it all in there. That's my big thing. I know, I don't, you know, to each their own, but I think making sure you know that it all goes in there is important. So then on breads, a lot of times I will make one nice cut down the middle with my spatula. This just helps if it is gonna like grow, it will help it sometimes have a little cut mark when it grows. This one doesn't actually grow quite like that usually, but I still like to do it. Give it a nice cut down that middle, and it can help it then break there. So once that's done, I'm just gonna do a quick, it's not really a topping, but I'm taking some sanding sugar, which is just a little bit bigger crystals of sugar. I'm putting in some more orange zest, and I'm gonna mix those together. And the coarse sugar is gonna start working into that zest. It's gonna be moistening the sugar, make it kind of like a wet sand consistency. And it's just a topping. This is just something to put on top of the bread, give it kind of that crystally topping that, to me, just finishes it well. Do you see what that looks like? It's a beautiful color. Once that's all mixed together, I'm just taking that and I'm just gonna put it right on top. This is like, to me, such a treat because it makes it kind of that just beautiful finish to it. You know, when we go to do things like this, especially if it's Christmas, especially if it's that special time of year, you maybe find ways to make them a little bit more special. Take a little bit more time to do something. That's what we're doing. I feel like that's what my mom and grandma always taught me, was find these moments to put a little bit of extra love into something. It just shows, whether it's for friends coming over, family coming over, or just for yourself. You're worth it, if you needed to know. Now we're gonna put this right into an oven. We're gonna bake it. It's gonna take a while because it's a big loaf, but then we'll try it. So this baked, I brought it out, let it cool slightly. You can see how that crack is still somewhat in there from us putting that spatula down. I like that. It gives it a little bit of definition, a little bit of texture. The parchment, you can see, just helps it come out even better. I mean, look at that. If that isn't just festive and fun to have a big loaf cake. Now it's still kind of warm, so it will be a little bit more soft, but look at all that. Look how moist it is, how beautiful that is. Guys, this is all, and what I really love is that, do you hear that? I love that crusty exterior. So now you can just serve this up. You can freeze these loaves whole, freeze the slices. They're just a beautiful, I love the texture of it. It's nostalgic, it's delicious. I love the walnuts in it. I know not everyone's a nut person. You can leave them out, of course, if you're allergic or just don't like them, but that little bit of orange in there really pops. What I love is the sweet tart thing going on with the cranberries. They give you these little hints of sweetness, and then that crust on top. I have to. That's my favorite part. You get that sugary orange kind of essence just right on top there. It's a beautiful loaf. It's a beautiful bread. And it's one that's really simple to put together. It's a great one to do with kids. It's a great one to give as gifts. You could even get disposable, like giveaway containers, or what a fun gift to bake it in one and have that be part of the gift. I think any of this would be fun. So what do I hope you do with this? I hope you share these videos around so everyone can see that this stuff is doable. You can do this at home. You can have fun. You can bake. You can enjoy the kitchen and make something seasonal, because that's the point. Check my website, wiseguy.com, for this recipe. All my other recipes are on my website. Printable, do with what you want. Until next time, have a good Christmas and enjoy some good food.